Hello everyone, my name is Jason, Legislative Chair for the San Fernando Valley chapter of the California Rifle and Pistol Association. We are just about 1 week away from the En Banc hearing of the Rhode v. Bonta case. That is our CRPA challenge to California's ammo background check scheme, and we just got word of who is going to be on that En Banc panel, so we have some stuff to discuss today, so definitely stay tuned. So first things first, how did we get to an En Banc hearing in the first place? Well, first of all, a district court judge has to hear the case, make a decision, and then that decision has to be appealed. The next level up is a 3-judge panel. Then after that, the 3-judge panel can be appealed up to an en banc hearing. During an en banc panel, there are 11 judges that preside over the hearing. One of them is the chief judge of the Ninth Circuit, and then 10 other randomly selected judges. Now, the Ninth Circuit is a little bit unique because it's so big. So that means in the Ninth Circuit specifically, not every judge gets to preside over an en banc hearing compared to some of the other circuit courts around the country. I think it's also worth mentioning that when an en banc petition is filed to the Ninth Circuit, all of the 29 active judges get to vote on whether or not the Ninth Circuit gets to take that case. And what I mean by an active judge is that active judges take on the full caseload in the Ninth Circuit, and they also preside over en banc hearings. In contrast, you also have what's called senior status, which is a judge that has a lower caseload, and it's basically the step before retirement. You still get to be a judge on the Ninth Circuit, but your caseload is reduced, and you can only hear the 3-judge panel arguments, and you can't do anything en banc unless you were one of the judges in that 3-judge panel where that decision from that panel got appealed en banc. And when I said the Ninth Circuit is big, it's huge. The Ninth Circuit covers California, Oregon, Washington State, Nevada, Arizona, Montana, Idaho, Hawaii, Alaska, and the territories of the Northern Mariana Islands and Guam. So now maybe that puts it into perspective as to why the en banc panels for the Ninth Circuit are only 11 judges. There are a lot of jurisdictions and a lot of states and territories to cover. But anyways, with that quick overview of the Ninth Circuit out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Rhode v. Bonta, our challenge to California's ammunition background check scheme. Now, this lawsuit has been in the courts for many, many years. The district court said it was unconstitutional, the 3-judge panel also said it was unconstitutional and violates the Second Amendment, and then Attorney General Rob Bonta appealed en banc. The 3-judge panel decided this case in July of 2025, the Attorney General appealed en banc in August of 2025, and the petition for en banc was granted in December of 2025. Now we will officially be hearing this case en banc at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals on March 25th at 1 p.m. at the Pasadena Courthouse. And taking a look at the composition of the 11-judge panel that we got for Rhode v. Bonta, on paper, it looks pretty favorable, meaning that there are only 3 Democrat-appointed judges to 8 Republican-appointed judges in this panel for Rhode v. Bonta. Now, that doesn't automatically guarantee a win, however. Obviously, the 3 more left-leaning judges are going to rule against us, and there are some Republican-appointed judges that have a questionable history when it comes to the Second Amendment. One of those questionable judges is Judge Bybee, who actually ruled against us in the initial 3-judge panel for Rhode v. Bonta. The other one is Judge Bennett, who, when he was Attorney General of Hawaii, filed an amicus brief in support of D.C. and their restrictive gun laws against Heller in what would eventually become the landmark Supreme Court decision of D.C. v. Heller. Of course, we all know the Heller decision then ruled that the Second Amendment does protect an individual's right to keep and bear arms, and Senator Ted Cruz, during Bennett's confirmation hearing, grilled him on his Second Amendment stance. Senator Cruz said, quote, taking the position in the Heller case that the Second Amendment protects no individual right to bear arms whatsoever, in my judgment, that is an extreme position. It is grossly inconsistent with the text and original understanding of the Second Amendment, and so I can't, in good conscience, vote to confirm him for a lifetime position as a Court of Appeals judge on the Ninth Circuit. And on a side note, it also looks like there's a judge on the en banc panel that doesn't really have a Second Amendment track record, that being Judge Miller, at least according to Costas Moros on his X page. So on paper, I guess you could say he's somewhat of a swing vote, but I guess we'll see what happens and how he rules. But if it's any indicator as to how he would rule, he is a Trump-appointed judge, so I guess we'll just have to see what happens. Now, speaking of Trump-appointed judges, we also have Judge Lawrence Van Dyke, who is quickly becoming a favorite in the Second Amendment world because of his great video dissent in the Duncan v. Bonta decision, and also, he's just a great judge overall. We also have Judge Bade, another Trump appointee on this 11-judge panel, who sided with us in the 3-judge panel for Rhode v. Bonta. So when it comes to the Republican-appointed judges for this En Banc panel, it's definitely a mixed bag, but I still think there's a good chance that we could win this case. During President Trump's first term, he appointed 10 judges to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which definitely shifted that balance in the Ninth Circuit. Now, in Trump's second term, he's also appointed another judge who, by the way, is an IDPA competitive shooter, that being Eric Tung. I would have really liked to have seen him on this panel because I think that would have been pretty cool, but alas, he's not on this particular En Banc panel. And yes, I know Donald Trump appointed Judge Bennett to the Ninth Circuit during his first term, and as I just explained, he hasn't exactly had the greatest two-way track record. So all I'm saying is that Donald Trump in his first term and now his second term has definitely shifted the balance when it comes to the judges on the Ninth Circuit, and the reason why we're even here in the first place having a fighting chance. It's because of judges like Van Dyke, Lee, and Bade that were even in these situations in the first place, because Rhode got ruled unconstitutional with a Trump-appointed judge on that panel. That 3-judge panel ruled 2-1, so every decision, every vote matters. Another recent example is the Baird v. Bonta case, which challenges California's open carry restrictions. That was ruled unconstitutional largely because of more Trump-appointed judges on the Ninth Circuit. And while we're on the topic of the Trump administration doing pro-Second Amendment things, of course, Harmeet Dillon and the Civil Rights Division of the federal DOJ with the Second Amendment Rights Division filed an amicus brief in support of the plaintiffs in this case, saying that California's ammo background checks and the whole ammo scheme is unconstitutional. It is the official position of the Trump Department of Justice that what California is doing violates the Second Amendment. So when it comes to certain Second Amendment litigation in California, things honestly are looking up, especially if Trump gets to appoint more judges to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals during his second term that are pro-Second Amendment. I like our chances for future cases. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals used to be super left-leaning, and that balance has definitely shifted. And honestly, I'm not even going to talk about Chief Judge Murguia, Judge Koh, or Judge Song because I already know they're going to rule against us in this case. They're Democrat-appointed judges, they're left-leaning judges, they already don't have a favorable view of the Second Amendment. That's all that really needs to be said. Overall, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how these oral arguments pan out. Obviously, the state of California has yet to find a valid reason as to why these ammo restrictions should be in place in the first place. You know, with the historical analog and the requirements from the Bruin decision, the Bruin methodology, California cannot find a proper historical analog. On top of that, the ammo background check scheme meaningfully constrains and frustrates the Second Amendment. There have been more times that the ammo eligibility check system in the DES have denied lawful, responsible gun owners that don't have a record than actually have denied criminals or anybody who's on the prohibited persons list. If I recall correctly, back in 2025 when the 3-judge panel decision came out, there was a graph going around that said it was somewhere near 55,000 wrongful denials of people who don't have a criminal background and are not on the prohibited persons list, compared to just a couple hundred people who were actually on the prohibited persons list from buying ammunition. It is way disproportionate how it affects people who shouldn't be affected by this denial than the people who actually are. On top of that, it also doesn't help that the Department of Justice increased the standard ammo background check eligibility fee to $5 instead of $1. So it's just another scheme to get more money out of you, to try and price you out of your Second Amendment rights and access to ammunition. So there has been so many things wrong with California's ammo background check scheme. It's time for it to go. And there you have it, everybody. That is the latest update in the CRPA case of Rhode v. Bonta, our challenge to California's ammo background check scheme. And if you guys at home want to follow along with what's happening in this En Banc hearing, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals actually live streams the hearings. So you guys can check out the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals on their website or YouTube channel and watch from there. And we also want to hear from you, the people of California. What do you guys think about the Rhode v. Bonta case, and how do you think this is going to turn turn out. If you want my personal opinion on how the outcome is going to be for this case, I think this is going to be a 6-5 decision either against us or for us. Like I said earlier, there do appear to be some swing votes on this En Banc panel, so I guess only time will tell to see which way the judges swing. Thanks for watching, everyone, and if you want to stay up to date with everything that the San Fernando Valley chapter of the California Rifle and Pistol Association is doing, make sure you subscribe right here on our YouTube channel and follow us on our Instagram, which is linked down below in the description. Thank you again, and may God bless America.